Good morning and good evening, and good to see you. So it seems like the Holy Spirit speaks to me when I'm in the bathroom sometimes, before the sessions. And today I heard, only a constant purpose can endow events with stable meaning. So I looked that up in the course. Only a unified purpose can give events and situation stable meaning, but I would say any meaning. A common purpose is the only means whereby perception can be stabilized. And one interpretation given to the world and all experiences here. A common purpose can give stability to perception. And I think this purpose, this common purpose, has to do with spirit and with forgiveness and with peace of mind. So I think we need to be willing to really forgive everything to be able to experience this consistent or constant purpose. Otherwise, events seem random and they seem to just happen to us. And they seem to be maybe annoying, distressing, stressful, sometimes fearful, sometimes exciting, perhaps, because excitement is also the ego. It can be of the spirit, if it's like divine joy, divine rapture kind of thing. This is all from the new interpretation. And he says there, escape from judgment simply lies in this: all things have but one purpose, which you share with all the world. All things have only one purpose, which you share with the whole world. Nothing can then happen to you or happen without you being at peace. Doesn't matter what it is. If your pet is dying, or if someone has some depression, or if there is a fire, all the different events would just have one purpose: peace of mind. If we see it with forgiveness. And this is the whole purpose for our journey. I think if we see events and situations as separate, different things that we think we can get something from or lose something in, then we haven't really used it for forgiveness. And we haven't given them the same purpose. Then events can be fearful. But even then, the message is to forgive. The calling is for us to allow our emotions and say, hey, I want to use this for my healing. I know you're with me, Holy Spirit. I give this event over to you. Guide me. Show me what it is. Show me what this event means. If it's not getting or losing, what is it? This is how we can use everything for peace of mind. He also brings in communication in this, saying, how can communication really be established while the symbols that are used mean different things? The Holy Spirit's goal gives one interpretation meaningful to you and to your brother. So we can think about different events, they can mean different things to different people. But with the Holy Spirit, they mean the same thing. One interpretation meaningful to both you and your brother. Thus can you communicate with him and he with you. Only through this will you feel like you have a real communication. And he's saying that sacrifice entails the loss of your ability to see relationships among events. And looked at separately, they have no meaning. If events are looked at separately, they have no meaning. They will seem very random. For there is no light by which they can be seen and understood. They have no purpose. Look not to separate dreams for meaning. Do not interpret out of solitude, for what you see means nothing. It will shift in what it stands for, and you will believe the world is an uncertain place in which you walk in danger and uncertainty. Don't interpret out of solitude. Interesting. So if we feel lonely, if we feel this solitude, we shouldn't attempt to interpret the world. We need to listen to our heart's calling out for the truth, for the joining, for the spirit, and then ask how to interpret. It's only your interpretation which are lacking stability. They are not in line with what you really are. This is a state so seeming unsafe that fear must rise. Do not continue thus, my brother. We have one interpreter, and through his use of symbols are we joined so that they mean the same to all of us. That's nice. It means we cannot really hold on to anything as our own thing, or even through our own understanding. We can only understand it through spirit, through joining with spirit. And then they mean the same to all of us. And thus we can communicate again. That's nice. We want to be able to communicate again. When people try to share opinions, there's not really communication. It's usually in some way, I am right and you're wrong kind of thing. How can there be joining in that? How can there be a feeling of communication and connection when we try to share opinions or judgments or even sharing fear. We can't share fear. We can expose fear to release it, but it can never be a shared experience. Like this, he starts this chapter. Would God have left the meaning of the world to your interpretation? If he had, it has no meaning. For it can't be that meaning changes constantly and yet is true. I think the way humans see the world is just very many changes, constant change. But the Holy Spirit looks upon the world as with one purpose, changelessly established, and no situation can affect its aim. But you add an element into the script you write for every minute in the day, and all that happens now means something else. This is this adding interpretation, adding some sort of element into the script that makes it confusing. What have you really done except to show there was no meaning there? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. This sounds like the ego is part of making it extra confusing. It does this so that you can look back and say there was no meaning. So that we can stay in crazy land and confusion land. But I don't think we want to. I think that's why we gather here. We want to end this madness. We want this constant purpose. We want to see with the Holy Spirit's glasses on our eyes, with everything, and not add, not make those little add-ons to situations, which would be just control, which would be some fear and control. So this feels really helpful. A new interpretation, chapter 30, part 7. If you want to read this later on. And I feel happy to sit here and look at you because I feel like we have a common purpose. We want healing of the mind, so we show up here. That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. And this is not random. So thank you for showing up. You know, even you showing up here, you may think it's random. You may think that you made a choice and, should I go or not? I'll go, I'll join in. And then the ego has been there to interpret. But what if everything was gently planned by one who has your best interest at heart? For it is. And this is the direction we are invited to see everything with. Like we're so innocent, we can't really even make choices. Isn't that nice? We don't have to look back and think we were the ones deciding on this. Sometimes I forget that we have those meetings, and Barret tells me we have a session. And this week somehow I've also forgotten what day it is. Every day I think it's Sunday or Saturday. But it's so strange because it has been, other days too. Well, it's good to be here together. So do you have anything you'd like to share or explore? Good to see you as well.
Hi, is the mic on?
Yep.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I just wanted to share that with the passage you were reading. I have to catch my breath a second. I always get nervous every time when I start. I get really nervous until I start talking.
Let's take a moment. No rush. Yeah.
But it for a moment I was like, are we reading Rules for Decision? Because there's that part where he's explaining where when you're looking for your answer to the resolution to solve the problem as you see it, it's not you're not going to get that answer, but it's because we were backwards. We had already forgotten to choose peace first.
Yeah.
So once we forget that, then we're backwards. But yeah, so I'm enjoying how the connections are coming more and more, that it's all really saying the same thing. So much peace and so much ease is coming from what seems to be this decision finally that it just can't be true that there's different multiple problems to solve. It makes no sense that there's these different things. There's either conflict in the mind or there's not, and it's just that. And it doesn't matter what we can use all the different words, fear or not, illusion or not, separation or not, like whatever, it's all eventually very, very synonymous. It's all just homogenized into this. What I'm choosing to do about the fact that I still feel the tension of being a body, the tension of the conflict of what seems to be there about not being beyond all this, not being able to control my emotions, whatever it is that I would think I would want. What I'm choosing to do now is just, well, pretty much nothing. I'm choosing to not do anything about it anymore. And that's what seems to be right for me right now, because it seems as though any move I make to pick up, well, let me try this, I inevitably look back and see that I can't tell how much of that, if not all of it, was ego, and how much was still trying to just, well, that was all another attempt to be a person,
Yeah, he brings that up too in the course. Like you try yet another relationship, you try yet another thing, thinking that's gonna give you salvation.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're just not gonna follow all those roads.
Yeah, a lot of it can be kind of heavy and still kind of gray, but it feels that that's the guidance, is to just wait here now and not try. Also, the add-ons, that's been one of the biggest lessons of the past couple of years, is noting how I would add fear. Like if there's fear already, okay, I'll just be there and handle the fear. But now I can see how much more I was adding fear. I was just going deep and adding and feeding it and feeding it. So right now I'm really just trying to stay with what it is, even if it's gray. It just feels like, okay, no more. I'll just be with this. I'll just watch this. Yeah, that's so.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, there is really, we can choose our right mind or our wrong mind. That's actually the choice we have.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, there are so many different ways of saying it, or we choose the direction of our thinking. We have the power to choose the direction of our thoughts. So that's good to know. And then we can, knowing that, we can just start to look at the mind, what we're choosing with. So yeah, so well, the rules for decision, or the new interpretation that I read, what we're talking about now. So we're pointing to that same mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also feel to say we can't really squeeze the ego out of the way, so to speak. Like there is a divine inspiration that is constantly knocking on our door. Because if we go at it with, a kind of a irritation, or, oh, I'm tired of the ego's suggestions, I'm just going to not do anything. But then there can be like a lethargy or apathy or anger underneath. And then it's not really about what we do or what we don't do, but it's about what we think. So yeah. And of course, guidance comes in, like inspiration.
Yeah, that it feels like that's the only way that even seems logical anymore. The guidance to do. I'm still in a bit of a weird place in the mind with it, because something in a way wants to come forward and sort of feel like it's joined, even now in this moment with you. Something wants to feel like a connection would happen in this conversation. But there's also a sense that it's like something's just really letting go too, like really dropping so much, and not really having much footing. I don't even know what connection is. I don't even know what that would be. And according to these teachings I'm following, it wouldn't have anything to do with eyesight or bodies and the computer screen that I'm looking at. So there's this sense of dropping so much,
Yeah, beautiful. Interpretation is dropping away.
Mm. Thank you for being here. Like, that felt good to be able to let that come out. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Lucy?
Yeah, I just wanted to expose some irritation. Just feel irritated. Yeah, I think it's an interpretation, like it has to be hard. There's a thought that comes in sometimes when the course, which is I don't understand what it's saying. I don't understand.
Can we join about it?
Yeah.
Because let's just maybe even just feel for this moment, just feel what's stirring you, and even the question, what happened? What happened?
Did you say even the question, what happened?
Yeah, it's a question, what happened? Yeah.
All I can think of is a feeling of being like left out, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing enough.
But do you still feel this way, the irritation at this moment?
No, it's gone now.
Yeah. Because you joined, you connected. So actually you invited this, exactly what I have been reading and talking about. What your ego said, I don't understand, I don't understand. You used that, you have used it without even knowing it. The purpose, the stable purpose, you used it, your mind knows, your being knows. So this is like in action, healing of a belief, or letting go of an interpretation, or aloneness, solitude we were even reading about. But that's the thing, understanding is not necessary. That's the beauty of this path, this course. You're actually doing it without understanding, and that's precious. Yeah.
I feel like I try really hard to understand.
Yeah, and that's a block, the trying hard. Because you already interpreted that you don't understand. This not understanding and thinking you have to understand becomes this frantic stress in the mind. Instead, the question is it okay to not understand and rest in the moment anyway? Can you allow yourself that?
It seems to be a really like tight feeling, like of control. Like no, like I have to understand something. I have to get it. I have to.
I don't think there is anything to understand or get. You can get that. You'll just allow yourself to relax and observe. So I'm glad you spoke up, because you actually identified a belief here, a belief in being left out. And I think that was behind the feeling and the experience of not understanding. The belief in being left out was, because they're producing your experience. So just identifying this belief helps you to let go of it. It was very helpful. You did it. And there's still nothing to understand. You know, Jesus says, become like little children. Little children don't go and say that they understand everything. They're just dependent. They're totally dependent on the parent. And that's all we need to, just to be totally dependent on spirit, on our true parent, the spirit within, God. Actually, the less we understand, the better.
I just see how my mind, it wants to go back to the past or like to the future, kind of thinking just that, what's the next moment gonna be like?
So there is unsafety, a belief in unsafety, and that you need to control or know what's going to happen. Well, we identified another belief. Belief that you're unsafe. Thank that belief and let it go. It didn't serve us very well. The thought, I am unsafe. It's really helpful. And I just looked up because, so we identified that belief in needing to understand. It talks about understanding a few times. The understanding is not necessary. For example, in lesson 9 says, I see nothing as it is now. I see nothing as it is now. This idea obviously follows from the 2 preceding ones, but while you may be able to accept it intellectually, it is unlikely that it will mean anything to you as yet. However, understanding is not necessary at this point. In fact, the recognition that you don't understand is a prerequisite for undoing your false ideas. He's even saying it's actually helpful if you don't understand.
Yeah, so sometimes I read the course and I'm like, what? I don't know what you mean, don't understand. Then why am I reading this? I don't know. If I don't need to understand anything, then why is there a course? Why am I reading like?
Well, you know, he's saying that in about the lessons. He's saying you actually don't have to understand, but it is important that you do them, he says. So yeah, and they can feel maybe strange or even meaningless to do it if you don't understand. But there is something in you that wants an experience. So even there must be something inside, even this lesson, I see nothing as it is now. It rings a bell somehow. There's something inside that is resonating. Otherwise, yeah, we wouldn't do any of the lessons. But there's a recognition, yeah, it makes sense, because nothing makes sense that we see in this world, from this room, from this window, means nothing. So it makes sense to do a lesson, I see nothing as it is now. So with forgiveness, to even to interpret this lesson, you know, with spirit would be to say, well, there is something very beautiful in seeing everything as it is now, as it is in the present moment. So, yeah, so in this world, yeah, we can agree that we don't understand anything. We don't understand this world. Because it's not understandable and it will never be. So only constant purpose can endow events with stable meaning. So that's all we need. It's constant purpose of, yeah, you could call it forgiveness, or peace of mind, or joining, or spirit, or yeah, whatever feels good. So yeah, I feel really grateful that we're looking at things together, because I think the main gift here is that we identify those two beliefs that haven't served you. The first belief, I don't understand. The second belief was, I'm not safe. You know, these, now you have looked at them, and you can keep looking at them if they come up again. And just say, I don't buy into you anymore. So there is another part where he talks about that understanding is not necessary. It's in a beautiful section called Light in the Dream. And he says, be not tempted to snatch away the gift of faith that you offer to your brother. The gift is given forever. God himself received it. You have accepted God. You don't understand what you accepted, but remember that your understanding is not necessary. All that was necessary was merely the wish to understand. That wish was the desire to be holy. It's so beautiful. He's interpreting even our desire to understand. He's saying, no, that's just your desire to be holy. So you're sitting here with desire to be holy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it feels like the ego just takes everything and twists it to attack, like, and then in the course he'll just change it all to always make it so innocent.
Yeah.
And I just want to accept like my innocence, like.
Yeah. I join you in that prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never understood much. I always felt like I never understood much. And during my very early days with David, I quoted the Bible one time. I said, and the little child shall lead them. That's a line in the Bible. A little child shall lead them. David said, yeah, and I love that about you. So, and I thought it was so beautiful. It felt, you know, exactly what we're talking about. You don't have to understand. You don't have to know. You only have to accept your innocence. And even that, let's not make that an intellectual thing. No, have to.
Yeah, how do I
How do I do that right?
how do I do that right? Yeah.
I saw your thought.
Yeah, you did.
Just gonna pop a bubble.
Yeah. Let's drop that belief too. Okay, thank you, Lucy. Light. This has been really lovely to be with you. And I know today's lesson, I think, was about holiness, eternal holiness abides in me. The lesson talked a bit about how the holiness is untouched by all our stuff, basically. Our holiness is not of ourselves, it's of God. Therefore, it is untouched and shiny, and it's in our core. I just think I feel to pass that on here as we finish this session. And just take a moment and just thank God, thank Spirit, thank love, thank our pure, beautiful, innocent, true self for our holiness. For this sacred joining and healing. Have a good night or day, wherever you are.
Yeah. See you again soon.
Bye-bye.